Chapter 4. What is universal alchemy? Quote, the same inexorable agents that prevent a mass from changing suddenly its velocity will likewise resist the force of new knowledge until time gradually modifies human thought. End quote. By Nikola Tesla. What is universal alchemy? Alchemy is the process where, once you have clearly defined a desire, the universe in an instant quantifies and calculates the difference in frequency gaps between the person you are now and the person you desire to be. It is the process where the universe qualifies you to receive what you desire so that your frequency matches the energy of the person you want to become. The law of attraction tells you that similar vibrations will always attract. But the perspective you most likely miss up to this point is that this law is also the law of friction. Friction is energy that repels away energy that is not similar or alike. And these laws create an algorithm similar to your social media feeds. Your frequency serves as the energy that the universe uses to give you feedback and mirror back to you what you are feeding it. Your focus, attention, and thoughts about what you are paying attention to will program the algorithm to give you the feedback that keeps you progressively focused. It is a self-perpetuating cycle. Your frequency modulators are key. So in the same way as you spend time on social media posts, videos, blogs, pressing likes, and sharing content, the algorithm accepts those modulating factors to reprogram your feeds across platforms in real time. Your frequency modulators are the toolkit of your creative ability. They include your thoughts, imagination, spoken and written words, actions, and DNA inherited codes that vibrate 24/7. Because these modulators transmit frequency, they are constantly bombarding your creative space. Then, your creative space becomes your own engine that is geared into the universe whose influence extends into infinite distance. Therefore, the universe reads all your energy instantly and compares it to your dream, goal, or desire, creates that route or that story that must take place. In a real sense, it creates a movie script with you as the main character. The movie is designed to include both side and background characters. The script will detail various stages or sets, complete with props, where both heroic and villainous characters will enact the story. It has a coherent structure that includes a beginning, middle, and end. More importantly, the script has a story with a challenge and a cause. Have you noticed some of the best movies have the hero go through what seems to be an ordeal of problems, situations, and challenges? Have you noticed that the more arduous the process is, the bigger the contrast of transformation is between the hero's starting point and the end? The hero becomes more relatable and engaging if the journey is met with figurative earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, fires, monsters, and maybe an Armageddon-like environment. Your universal GPS. Universal alchemy is better illustrated by our experience of GPS applications and how they take us places. The way GPS applications function with their simple processes serves as the perfect example or symbol of how the universe gives you feedback. Some actions have to be taken first before you get to your destination. Note where you are asking to go. Yes, it does not take a genius to understand that once you pull up the app to use it, it will give the shortest and quickest route, but only if you know where you want to go. It even asks to specify whether you will walk, ride a bike, or use a motor vehicle. You do not doubt its ability to let you know how to get there. Think about how you are not worried sick about how you will get there. You may zoom out the screen to see the entire route and the estimated time. Similarly, life will do the same the instant you become hyper clear about what you desire to experience. The universe is shifting in real life every time you change your mind. The biggest challenge for people desiring close, loving relationships is that they struggle to define their desired relationship clearly and effectively communicate to the universe a cohesive vision of that desire. You must know how to input the correct address of your final vision into your universal GPS, and then not worry about how you will get there. The irony is that if you can maintain a carefree attitude when defining what you want or your destination, just as you do when using a GPS on your phone, and not worry excessively about how you'll get there, the universal process will work much more effectively and quickly than you might expect. In the same way, you know the tech is mostly flawless, and you trust the GPS to guide you precisely. Similarly, you can also know that the universal GPS guide will guide you precisely to your desired vision, but only if the address is clearly put down first. Anticipate delays. You understand that the algorithm will reroute in real time if you fail to follow its instructions. You know it is up to you to listen and not get distracted. If you stop in the middle of the road to look at the scenery, you know not to blame the app for telling you that your arrival will be later. If you decide halfway through the trip to change your mind and go back, yes, the app stops telling you where to go. If you take the wrong exit, it will reroute you. If you change destination, it will do the same thing based on your current whereabouts. Alchemy will work the same way. You must follow a series of instructions that you will progressively have to follow. The universe could bring you a book like this one, and you must read it to its completion. There may be a single lesson, sentence, or set of words that will strongly resonate. Someone may show up through your daily life and say the perfect words you need to hear that apply perfectly to your situation. It could be that you keep getting sidetracked by relationships that glimmer and shine, but you end up dull and left in the gutter. There may be a lesson if the same relationship keeps showing up, but in a different skin. Also, if you always think the grass will be greener in a different place and keep reaching a different destination each time, but continue to change your mind after arriving, guess what? The GPS will give you new instructions. But this may mean that you are just running in circles and not allowing the proper seeds of growth to be planted, watered, and fertilized for there to be growth in the relationship. Do you expect instant gratification and constant activity? Do you become impatient when growth in the relationship fails to show up when you want it to and the way you want it to? Do you constantly change your mind about what you think you want? If this is the case for you, your challenge might be not knowing how to order the special dish you didn't know was available at the fine dining restaurant. Or it could be that deep down, all you wanted all along was to enjoy a nourishing, healthy, and delicious home-cooked meal every day. Alchemy can be like a restaurant experience. The GPS also lets you know the context in which you can experience your destination. For example, if you want to go to a restaurant, it will let you know where the closest ones are. It will give you a list of different areas and types of restaurants where you can dine in. and we are not ignorant of how different restaurant environments can be. Therefore, your challenge may be one of specificity. You can ask the GPS to show nearby restaurants, and the app will show you more restaurants in the area that you can visit in a lifetime. So, in this instance, you must be very clear about the spectrum and what type of relationship you desire. You can type on the GPS by specifying burgers, Mexican, steakhouse, Italian, Greek, French, chicken, sandwich subs, fine dining. The app can easily filter out the relevant places to go based on your preferences. So, if you use a set of similar words when defining your desired relationship to the universe, you will force it to filter out anything that does not apply. Well, have you noticed how generic experiences are more accessible? For example, fast food joints are everywhere, and everyone knows that prolonged periods of fast food consumption will lead to quick health decay. If you desire a truly unique dining experience, is it not true that you will find that the locations are few and far between? For example, many fine dining experiences are unique in themselves. For that reason, there may be only a few restaurants that you can visit. The experience may be so unique that you can only afford one yearly visit. You may have to put your name down on a waiting list for a later date. There are restaurants booked in advance for weeks, months, and even years sometimes. You may also have to put in the extra effort to come up with the funds so that you can visit. The restaurant could be in another city, state, country, or continent. Just think of the energy, time, and planning you will have to prepare based on its location. You may have to meet various qualifications to be accepted into this restaurant. Yes, the experience may be so exclusive that you might have to become a whole different person to be able to attend. For example, the restaurant could be in a private members-only facility. What if that membership were to be worth $10,000 a year? What if it required 50% of an average person's yearly income? What if membership were worth income of an average person and what it takes them to make in 10 years? What if you calculated that the entire experience will cost you more than what you will make in your whole life, based on the income you make right now within your present circumstances? Yes, some desired experiences will require you to become an entirely different person altogether. Practically, self-honesty must be necessary here. People can be romantic and idealistic about desiring self-perceived fine dining experiences. Some people build shrines and fill their phones with images of celebrities. They may be filling up their photo app with pictures of fitness influencers or famous people whose experience is so unique that the frequency gap will be too large, even to attempt to manifest such a relationship with the law of attraction. This fine dining example is described here to encourage you to be realistic. Accept that no matter how hard you desire it, your qualifications may be beyond any real possibility. These platonic desires for a hyper-unique relationship are like wanting to win the lottery, mostly beyond any real reach. Am I saying it is impossible? The possibility of these platonic relationships being formed is highly improbable. Have you seen the Dumb and Dumber movie where Lloyd Christmas, played by Jim Carrey, asks the beautiful woman he likes about the chances of being together? Lloyd moved heaven and earth to finally meet Mary and ask her to give it to him straight about their chances of being together. You mean not good, like 1 out of 100? She responds, quote unquote, I am saying more like 1 out of a million. The funniest line of the interaction is Lloyd gleefully responding, quote unquote, so you are telling me there is a chance. Ironically, the movie hilariously ends with Lloyd and Harry failing to perceive that their core desire to be with beautiful women was delivered when a group of attractive women on a bikini tour suggested to them to be the 2 oil boys that would grease them up before competitions. I can't emphasize enough how significant this scene is. Some people become so obsessed or hyper-focused on specific targets that they fail to perceive a good bus ride when it presents itself. The home-cooked meal. But isn't consistently nourishing from healthy home-cooked meals the best way to feed your body, mind, and soul? While I will never judge individuals for their relationship choices, it is important to recognize that making objective observations about relationships and having realistic expectations is essential. Here, I encourage you to consider strongly finding one relationship you can be with for the rest of your life. It is one of the best opportunities for growth and will truly fulfill you emotionally and holistically. Because when you expand on your definition of a relationship to the scope of your perceived lifespan, this decision forces the universe to filter and anticipate more than you can imagine. I am still blown away today at some of my experience with my wife. There were certain milestones in our relationship that I logically and rationally concluded would end one way, but turn out much differently than expected. There are blind spots that your limited conscious awareness cannot possibly grasp or anticipate. Letting yourself be vulnerable to entropy as you poorly define what your relationship should be leaves you open to sure pain, a waste of time and energy. Is that not why you are reading this book? Are you not sick of the pain of unmet expectations, false promises, wasted energy, and time? Alchemy can be like installing new sod. Installing new sod and maintaining it can be a lot of work. But having an opulent, entirely green, perfectly manicured, and well-designed landscape can be incredibly fulfilling. The process can give you a framework for what can be expected of how the universal alchemy works to refine your energy and make things work out the way you want them to. The framework is also designed to ground you in reality so you can have the right expectations and not feel blindsided by the process. Many people get mad at God or the universe when it seems that what they want is not happening for them. But the disappointment is due mainly to your disconnection from the universal feedback, as you are progressively led through the stepping stones or milestones required to get there. Does that make sense? It is why keeping in mind the illustrations of the universal GPS, the restaurant experience, and having new sod in your yard will serve you. These mindsets and teachings will give you the focus and keep you sane so you don't lose faith in the process. With the illustration of sod, think of the spectrum of people's front gardens and the spectrum of what they could look like. They could be a house with dirt and weeds as their yard, or it could be a home with a perfectly manicured Pro Vista St. Augustine grass front yard, or anything in between. The illustrations help you to be objective and realistic about your starting points and where you want to be. From a weed-infested yard to immaculate-looking grass. So, what does your relationship yard look like? Is it a weed-infested dirt patch or a relatively healthy St. Augustine garden? Is it something in between? Whatever your starting point, the illustration will help you remember what you may have to go through as you reach the result you are looking to manifest. If you have a weed-infested dirt patch, you must do the following. First, you must pull all the weeds and possibly kill all the smaller weeds with a weed killer chemical. How does this relate to your current relationship situation? The weeds are the thinking patterns of your mind in connection to relationships. Your thinking may lack the necessary life lessons or teachings to create what you want. If this is the case, the universe will guide you through a process where you will integrate such lessons. Life will bring you knowledge and wisdom through people or circumstances, or as you connect with family, friends, and other romantic relationships, the universe will expose you to the right experiences to kill those weed-like thoughts. Second, your dirt patch is probably dried up, useless dirt. Even if you try to plant new seeds, no new growth will occur unless you remove as much dried up sand and add a fresh layer of new soil. Similarly, new thinking patterns may not take root if the soil of your mind has made your thinking dull. The universe will know if you need it. This process can occur to you, and I'm willing to bet it already has. How can I know that? Because you are reading this book right here, right now. Its message is probably strongly resonating with you and is positively triggering you with positivity and hopeful, empowering feelings. It is most likely because you are going through or have gone through a situation that has caused you much pain and suffering. This painful experience is lighting a fire in your energy that forces you to rethink or burn up all weed-like thinking patterns of what you previously thought was the key to relationships. You have now allowed that fire and the dead, burnt-up weeds to create a layer of healthy soil, ready to be planted with new seeds. Does this make sense? This awareness will mean that you are now in the chapter of your life for planting, seeding, watering, fertilizing, and waiting for new growth. This process is you waiting for your alchemical relationship process to conclude. You can install already grown, ready to set down St. Augustine or Provista sod, but you will still need to plant, water, and fertilize it. You will still need to keep up with weeds that tend to spring up and create dirt patches within your new growth. Similarly, the alchemy of the universe will bring you that desired relationship and train you. You will learn how to keep and nourish the relationship with your creative ability. But you may wonder, would it not be easier to hire a professional landscaper to do all this work? Of course, it all depends on your available resources and willingness to invest. You could do half the work by removing the weeds and buying the soil. Then you can hire the landscaper to spread the soil and deliver and finally install the sod you already purchased. Or you could do it all yourself. The universe will activate the GPS so you can consider the options or the routes. But in this phase, you must consider the knowledge, wisdom, and life lessons necessary to prepare you for and through the relationship. Much of what I have learned, as I already mentioned, is found in my already published books. So consider buying those to expedite your process. Also, at the end of the book, I encourage you to read my offer on my relationship coaching services. Remember how your GPS always asks if you're walking, riding your bike, or driving your car to the destination. Yes, depending on how fast you desire to get there, the universe may give you the option to get on a car or an airplane to get there much faster. Not only will I be able to feed your mind with the proper knowledge, but I will impart my wisdom to you in real time as you work through the process of creating a mind that attracts the desired relationship. But you may already have a relationship and struggle to keep it loving, peaceful, and exciting. Think about this. If you install new sod, the sod is not going to water and nourish itself. Too many people try to go it alone and try to feed it the right fertilizer and end up killing it instead. Too many people think they know better and promise to keep up with the weeds, only to let them finally take over their new grass. Too many people promise themselves that they will water their grass themselves to try to save money. But by failing to invest in a sprinkler system that waters on schedule, they only end up with their grass dying out and creating a weed-infested yard with dead brown patches. By the time they do it successfully, a landscaper will have ensure their grass thrives and make their garden look perfectly kept and manicured. Hiring professional services will save you time, energy, and resources. My experience can serve you and save you a lifetime of frustration and irritation from not being able to grow into the relationship you desire to create. And here's why. Consider what could be ruining and will ruin your current or future relationships. I promise you will come to a place where your efforts will have paid off, and your relationship will be similar to that of having that perfect, pristine, well-watered yard. But you will work too hard to maintain it, and you won't know why you keep working so hard to try to have a nice yard. And you will troubleshoot and determine why you keep having these challenges. Then, all of a sudden, you stop looking at your yard and begin to look at your neighbors' homes and their yards. And you will finally see why. Most of your neighbors have weed-infested yards, and their lack of appreciation forces you to pay a price. The wind keeps blowing seeds and nasty bugs that feed off your yard, allowing those weeds to grow and create brown, dead patches. You know you cannot ask your neighbors to change and care as much as you do. You conclude that you will continue either killing yourself working and trying to keep the perfect yard, or decide to move to an area where people care about their yard as much as you do. What do I mean by neighbors? It has to do with your creative ability and how your bloodline inherited patterns pre-program your experiences of life. In this instance, you are having difficulty with the relationships facets of life, or else you would not be reading this book. So, as you strive to change your relationship awareness to attract and create the relationship of your dreams, you may experience massive cognitive dissonance because of that DNA connection. Unfortunately, you are entangled with your bloodline's weed-like thoughts that may prevent you from clearing the weeds and healing the brown patches from the soul of your mind and DNA. The time will come, and it may be now, that the universe will suggest that you get on that car or plane so your ride can be much smoother and faster. What will you do then? You must fully engage my recipe and processes with all your life force if you are aware that you are being affected by these DNA connections. Know clearly what you desire. Know and trust the knowledge and wisdom of the universe to guide you through the alchemical process, and persevere relentlessly in your prayers, requesting the desired result to become a reality. And finally, also persevere in prayer for your faith in your vision to be made solid. The alchemical process is challenging because you will usually feel like the universe is just hanging a shiny, enticing tree in front of you to keep pushing forward. This process is faith challenging. I wrote nearly 40 pages of content about the alchemy of the universe in Chapter 8 of Blueprint for Immortality, the Quantum Code for Life Secrets to Success. I encourage you to read that chapter and integrate it with this lesson. Universal alchemy is complex, so consider investing in my relationship fitness coaching program, regardless of the spectrum of reality of your current relationship. Yes, you may be in dire need of my protocols and even surgery. Let me explain. Do you need surgery or just a relationship fitness coach? Think about where you stand on your dream relationship. The spectrum can help you be objective since you know your situation better than I do. You may need personal coaching. Yes, you may need a doctor since self-diagnosis can be dangerous. You are figuratively holding and reading now a reliable medical handbook to help you diagnose and apply home remedies to build a healthy foundation for a healthy relationship. But maybe your situation could be dire, and you are in desperate need of a diagnosis. You may need serious medication and possibly surgery. If you need serious figurative heart surgery, you cannot operate on that any more than a real patient could operate on their literal heart. Your thinking may be so ingrained against any possibility of creating a successful long-term relationship that surgical coaching and the need for intensive care after the fact may be vital. It may be your only option. Or it could be that your situation is not as dire as needing figurative emergency medical service, but you may need a physical fitness mentor. You may need a mentor who can guide you through the alchemical process so you pay close attention as you get universal feedback. Yes, instead of relying solely on the GPS, you may have to call the place you want to get to and have the people who are already there enjoying themselves describe how to get there. You might call and say, "Hey, I am not sure about this dark alley road. Is it safe? Are you sure I am supposed to go through here?" You might ask, "What's up with this unfinished road? Why is it so bumpy? Should I turn around or find a different route?" You might also have to call and ask about landmarks. Did you see an abyss by the road? Did you have to ride past that? What about the bridge? Was it safe to cross? If you perceive an individual successfully experiencing what you desire, it is because they have already gone through a similar alchemical process. It is wise not to be envious, but to accept humbly that there is a lesson to be learned. Many people who arrive much earlier either develop proper thinking patterns by learning from the experiences, failures, and success of others, or they gain significant insights through trial and error. I believe my experience of my parents' relationship and my early development through personal study of success philosophy, universal principles as defined through the Bible, and my exploration of neuroscience gave me an early advantage. My life experience is now serving you to bring clarity and transparency to help you create a meaningful, long-lasting connection with your desired relationship. Stupidity is learning through the pain of your mistakes. Wisdom is learning from other people's stupidity and their own mistakes. A quick note from myself, Julian Valderrama. Thank you so much for listening. If you have found this audiobook to be helpful so far, please describe your best observations and how you have benefited by telling others about it on this book's Amazon review page. This helps it find its way to those who need it. Thank you.